Good evening, everyone. Very nice to be here with all of you once again, sharing this wonderful book, Conversations with Yogananda. Today, we are going to take from where we left off in conversation number 63. I hope by now, if you've been following this webinar, you have gotten this book because it is certainly one of my favorites. I always recommend it to people. So number 63 is short, so I'll read the whole thing. Michelle Evans had studied under Dr. Lewis. Now, Dr. Lewis was one of Yogananda's disciples, and he was the first, you could say, Yogananda's first disciple in America. She kept a photograph of Dr. Lewis on her altar. The official SRF altar, meaning Self-Realization Fellowship, however, was designed by Master to hold only the photos of the 5 gurus. Mrs. Evans' addition of Dr. Lewis was unorthodox and was seen therefore as being opposed to the Master's wishes. Someone reported the matter to him. That is her own altar, he replied, and therefore her private matter. What she does there is her affair. I design our altars for public display. So those last, of course, were the words of the Master, and it's a very interesting story in some ways for me. And I know I end up saying that all of them are interesting stories, but in some way I feel that, because of course anything that a great master says, it has a meaning, and sometimes it has more than one meaning. But also it's very, I don't want to say strange, but it's interesting to see how the mind of people work. That, for example, we have Yogananda, he gave this thing, he gave this altar, and in a way, of course, what Yogananda gave is what we use. In Ananda, the same way. We have the altar that Yogananda gave, and we have a picture of Swami Kriyananda, but we have it beside the altar. We don't have it as part of the altar because Master said that was the altar, and Swami Kriyananda did not want to be in the altar at all. So even sometimes he will refuse that we put him there at all, but people's devotion was so strong that okay, he compromised to having it somewhere on the side, and the picture should be smaller as well. But he's not part of the altar officially. And but it's interesting to me to see how so easily now the Master was there to say, what one does at home is their own personal thing. The organization should display it one way. What people do at home is they can do whatever they want. But to see that how an organization can so easily as well start to become very, very rigid about everything. I suspect perhaps if Yogananda was not alive at that point, perhaps somebody would have just asked the lady, why do you have this picture there? That's not Yogananda's teachings. What are you doing? You have to follow his teachings in such a small matter. Now, of course, I don't know if that would have happened, but I can easily see it because it is the trend of organizations to have to more and more start with a wonderful spirit, and then as time goes by start becoming more and more and more rigid, which is a little sad to see. But anyway, it's still, of course, it has a great value to have the organizations. But this altar of Yogananda, some of you may not know, but I don't know how much you know about Yogananda's teachings. He had put Jesus Christ at the center of the altar, then followed by Mahavatar Babaji, and followed by Lahiri Mahashaya, who was, of course, Babaji's disciple. And on the other side of Jesus, there was Swami Sri Yukteswar, who was disciple of Lahiri Mahashaya, and then, of course, Paramahansa Yogananda, who was a disciple of Yukteswarji. And there was the altar, he said, and he did say that he was the last in the line of these great avatars, these great gurus that had come to earth, at least for this time being. And it's very interesting. Many people will ask us, why is Jesus Christ there on the altar? And later on in this book, actually, Yogananda explains a little bit more about the role of Jesus in his mission. Now, there is many things that he said, but basically he gave the story of how one night in the Himalayas, Jesus Christ appeared to Mahavatar Babaji. And Jesus told Mahavatar Babaji that, and I'm paraphrasing, of course, that my people, my church, meaning Christianity, all Christians, They are doing very good deeds. They help people, as in large, they help people, they do a lot of charitable work, but they have forgotten the most important part of my teaching, which is inner communion, direct contact with the divine, which of course has been lost in most of the teachings of Christianity these days. And then he told Babaji, let us send together an avatar, a teacher from India to the West to bring back the teachings, original teachings of Christ, and of course also the original teachings of the Bhagavad Gita of Krishna. And they, you could say, they plot together to have this spiritual renaissance, you can say. And of course that was through Yogananda. Yogananda is the one that they had chosen to go to the West, to America, and to spread these teachings of yoga, of Christ, and see the union of them, see how we can apply them and revive them in a way. And that's why Yogananda said that Jesus Christ is in our line of gurus, because he's the one who actually started the work together with Babaji. And then of course all the other masters, you can read about them in the Autobiography of a Yogi. That story is not in the Autobiography of a Yogi, but later on you will find it also in this book, along with many wonderful stories that are not in the Autobiography of a Yogi. That's why it's so good to have this book with us. So, but back to this matter of the altar. Is it important for us to have an altar at home? Well, you know, many people just having the picture of the guru brings so much love in them that of course for them it's ridiculous to say no at all. But some people may be wondering, is there any value? After all, are they not just pictures? And there's a fun story about Swami Vivekananda. He was here in India when this happened, and an Indian himself, he told Swami Vivekananda, oh, in Hinduism, it's all about idol worship, you know, worshipping idols. What is the value of that? And, you know, what is the value in these idols, in these images? And he was kind of putting down the whole Hindu religion. Of course, we know that Hinduism is ideal worship, not idol worship. But, you know, Vivekananda didn't say that. Instead, he was quiet. And then after some time of talking with the man, he pointed at the wall and he said, who is the man in that picture? And the man said, that's my father. Oh, so that's your father. Why don't you take the picture and smash it on the ground and start jumping on it and break it completely? And the man was outraged. Are you crazy? That's my father. How can I do that? Oh. But you just were talking about how we worship all these idols. See, the picture is not important, it's not your father, but it brings the memory of your father, it brings the feelings of, having your father who had passed away. And even thinking about destroying his picture, you will not even consider it. But it's not because you think that's your father, it's just because of what it represents. And so it is with the altars, that it is very much recommended that we keep some sort of altar, that with whatever deity. Here in India, of course, there's many more gods, and you could say to choose from. But whatever really inspires our devotion, we should have in our altar. If you are a disciple of this path, of course, we recommend just have the picture of the 5 masters. If you feel more drawn to one particular master, you can have a bigger picture of that master. It's not like the other ones will become jealous or anything like that. They are all one, and they don't feel those things. But it is interesting to also something that Swami Kriyananda said, which I quite agree with him, but he said that in his altar he prefers to have it simple. And I think that is a very good point, that don't put too many things. Like, some people will have like the pictures of all the 5 masters, then of 10 other masters that they like, and a Shiva Lingam, a trident, like 3 or 4 Ganesh, because there are so many varieties, and all these different things. And it's not that there is anything wrong, as Yogananda said, that is your personal affair. But having less pictures, in my opinion, and as far as I've been told, it really helps you focus. It really helps focus your devotion, focus your energy, and also Because in a way, as we all know, once you choose a spiritual path, it's good that you stick to that spiritual path, and the less you have of other things to distract you, even though yes, all true paths are great, the better it will be for you to go deeper into your own path. So, you see this lady, she had a picture of Dr. Lewis. Totally fine. Some people they may have come to the spiritual path, let's say, because of reading the life of Sri Ramakrishna. So they consider Sri Ramakrishna to be their entry point. Well, so they can have the picture of the masters with an additional picture of Sri Ramakrishna. Of course, it's totally fine. There is nothing wrong with it. But I do recommend, if you are one of those that perhaps has a lot of all these different things, and try to see if it makes a difference when you simplify it. If it's not this path, of course, whoever is your guru or whoever deity you feel more attracted to. And the thing is that also these pictures, they have power. We hear in the autobiography of a yogi how Lahiri Mahashaya, when he finally allows somebody to take a portrait of him, he sometimes will give pictures to his devotees, to his disciples, so because of course they will appreciate that very much. And he will tell them, at least he told this to one of them, he said, here is a picture. If you want it to be a picture, it will remain a picture. If not, it will become a protection for you, like an amulet for you. And we know that in the story of Yogananda, just mentally bowing, not even touching the picture and pressing his head against the picture, but mentally, because he was so sick. I think you all know the story. He was so sick that he could not even move. Mentally bowing to the picture of Lahiri Mahashaya, he saw this tremendous light coming out of the picture and healing him completely. He would have died if not. So the pictures, they have power, especially if we give it power. If we think them only as pictures, they will have nothing. And it is, but if we think them as protection, if we think them as, devotion, as power, as in whatever it may be, they can give those things to us. And Yogananda did recommend that you look at into the eyes of the pictures of the masters and feel that there is magnetism, that there is energy emanating from their eyes and coming to you and helping you. And I want to tell you a fun story. It was very uplifting for me, but it's also a little ridiculous. When I came to India in 2010, many of you will know the picture we have in our altar of Christ and Krishna, which is a very beautiful picture. But before that, there was another picture of Christ and Krishna that to most people, at least it's not only to me, it didn't look so good. In fact, it was, I don't want to disrespect whoever painted it, but they both somehow look a little Chinese, both of the masters. But anyway, I always thought it was not so nice. And I know I'm not alone in that thought. But nevertheless, that's what we had in our altar. And I remember one night, and especially when you are new in the spiritual path, these things really really disturb you for whatever reason. No, everything disturbs us. And I remember one night I was sleeping and I had a dream. And in this dream, I saw that horrible picture of Jesus Christ. And it was just a picture there. And I was feeling so much love, so much, actually joy. And then something inside myself said, bow to the picture. And I just pranam to the picture. And then I saw the picture itself pranaming back to me in that ugly picture. But in that moment, I just woke up because I was feeling so uplifted, so much joy that had come to me in that dream. And really did help me understand more that, the pictures really don't really matter in a way, that it is really what we give to them. And this was a big lesson, and I'm glad I got that lesson, because from that day on, of course, that picture had totally different meaning for me. It was a very holy picture. So it was a little gift, I guess, that God gave me early on to keep me hooked into the path. I don't know. But I always remember it, and every time I remember, I still remember that feeling, and I know it was a true dream. Just one more thing to consider when talking about the altar, and it's because I see also this picture of Yogananda here. You can see in the book. It's a beautiful painting, but paintings don't have the same power. if you can get an actual photograph of the saint, and some, of course, Jesus Christ, we don't have a picture, or Krishna, we don't have a picture, but Yogananda, Lahiri Mahashaya, Sri Yukteswarji, Babaji, of course, there's a drawing. But try, if you feel drawn to them, get their pictures. Whichever saint, try to get up. Even if the portrait is beautiful, yes, have it, but also have a picture. Because, and even Swami Kriyananda said that there is this picture, for example, of Yogananda's last smile, which is a very powerful picture. And he said that even the color version of that picture, because it's been altered later to, it's a black and white picture, but they colored it. He said, even that, it doesn't carry the same vibration. And he was very sensitive to these things, so he could actually feel them. Of course, I cannot feel it so much. So try to get an original picture. And I say this because also whatever we use, or most people use, of Lahiri Mahashaya and Swami Sri Yukteswar are actually paintings. They are not the real pictures. If you want to know which ones are the real pictures, of course you can write to us and we will be able to help you. And then, okay, you have your altar. Try to dedicate a part of your meditation or your spiritual practice after you do your practices, perhaps Hong So, Kriya, whatever form of meditation you do them, then sit in silence. And after you sit in silence, perhaps also if your mind starts becoming a little restless, just open your eyes, and if you're still wanting to sit to meditate, and even if not, it's just a good practice. Choose one picture and look at the eyes of the saint and feel and ask that their blessings come to you. And look at the eyes, try to feel that, and you're going to say then later on, close your eyes and still at the point between the eyebrows, visualize those eyes, and those eyes still are blessing you. And this is a very powerful technique that I recommend you do. And it is very powerful also for those who want to be in tune with their guru. I want to conclude with a little story that one of our acharyas, Swami Sadhana Devi, told us recently, that how one time, fairly recently I believe, and now Swami Kriyananda gave her the name of Sadhana Devi. So the queen of sadhana, of spiritual practice, and she herself said that meditation came easy to her and she was very blessed by that. But she used her meditation also to help other people, that she would pray all the time when she meditated that other people may also be helped by her meditation. So her meditation became very, very much a service, and the more she did that, the more she enjoyed her meditation. But, as it happens to all of us, this fine day, she just could not meditate at all. That her mind was very restless. I mean, I don't know what a restless mind for her is as compared to us, but still she could not meditate until then she said, okay, I give up. And she said she started just looking at the picture of Yogananda, and still her mind was racing. And then she saw that after, I don't remember how long, but let's say 10-15 minutes, she started looking and she realized that mentally she was having a conversation with Yogananda. I don't think she necessarily heard Yogananda's voice, but she saw that all her thoughts were going to him. She started to realize that her breath has stopped. And even when it came very, very softly. And then she closed her eyes and she saw that it was very easy for her to go deep into meditation just because of looking at the picture. Isn't that amazing? These pictures can carry a lot of power. And I know those who are devotees, they have experienced already some of these things, and just carrying the picture of your guru around whenever you are traveling, and sometimes you need a little, and you look at the picture of the master and you're, fine, it's all fine, no matter what, it's all fine. But I will say, try to do this thing. Try to keep your altar simple. Try to imbue to take power also from the pictures themselves, and they see that the masters can help you through them to go deeper into your spiritual practice. Thank you very much. Have a great evening. Om. Yeah, that one is okay. If you already closed the Zoom.
Yeah, I closed.